It's not Father Christmas in Santa's grotto, it's me, Leo Drake, and welcome to the Dragon's Den. Thank you for spending part of your day with me. Please consider subscribing as it is free and helps spread holiday cheer. If you enjoy the video, click the like button and ring the notification bell to be notified when I post a new video. In this video, we are reviewing the greatest Christmas film of all time. So consider this your one and only spoiler warning. What is the greatest Christmas film of all time? Well, it's not Die Hard or A Christmas Carol, and it's certainly not Jingle All the Way. The greatest Christmas film of all time is... It's a Wonderful Life from 1964 was directed by Frank Capra and stars one of Hollywood's great actors, James Stewart. At Christmas time, prayers in Bedford Falls focus on a man named George Bailey, who is discouraged. Clarence, an angel who has yet to get his wings, is sent to help, but first he watches the life of George Bailey. As a boy, George saved his younger brother Harry from drowning after he fell into a frozen lake. George lost the hearing in his left ear, and after he recovered, he went to work for Old Man Gower at the drugstore, where a young Mary Hatch has her eye on George Bailey.
Please, Georgie. I like him. You like every boy. What's wrong with that?
Old Man Gower receives a telegram saying his son Robert died from influenza, and he mixes up a prescription. George knows something is wrong and does not take the medication. He gets in trouble until Old Man Gower realises in his grief that he's made a mistake. George's father works at the Bailey Building and Loan. George plans to get out of the small Bedford Falls and travel the world. He cannot imagine working in a small office in the same town for the rest of his life like his father. George saves up enough money for a European trip and then plans to go to college and build something great. On the eve of his departure, George dances with a grown-up Mary and he walks her home, before promising to lasso the moon for her. The romantic moment is interrupted by news that George's father has suffered a stroke. After his father's death, George gives up his European trip to help Uncle Billy at the Building and Loan in his father's place. Potter, who is the wealthiest and meanest man in Bedford Falls, wants to close the building so he can have a monopoly on Bedford Falls. George is determined to go to college, but the board only agrees to vote against Potter if George remains in charge. George agrees to stay and gives his younger brother Harry the money to attend college. George hopes that Harry will take over the business when he returns from college 4 years later, but when Harry comes back to Bedford Falls, he is married and has a job offer from his new father-in-law. Mary also returns from college and wants to marry George. George is still dreaming of leaving Bedford Falls and doing something special with his life.
And all's fair in love and war.
I don't know about war.
Mary and George get married. George has his savings and they are looking forward to an extended honeymoon when there is a run on the bank caused by the Depression. George convinces the local people to be reasonable and uses his own money, $2,000 for his honeymoon, to tie people over until the trouble passes. Potter is frustrated once again, though he buys up everything else in the town at a rock-bottom price, including the bank. George and Uncle Billy survive until close of business at 6 p.m. with just $2 left. Mary and George move into an old house, which they do up. The Building and Loan starts Bailey Park, which allows regular people to own their own home, and a few years later, this is a threat to Mr. Potter, who offers George a lucrative job. George will not be bought and misses out on an opportunity to invest in plastics because all his money is tied up. Mary tells George she is pregnant and they end up having 4 children together. A few years later, Harry is a war hero and awarded the Medal of Honor. On Christmas Eve, the bank examiner arrives to look over the year's accounts.
Well, between you and me, Mr. Carter, we're broke.
Yeah, very funny.
On Christmas Eve, Uncle Billy misplaces $8,000 he was going to deposit at the bank. Potter comes across the money but keeps it to himself. Without the money, George is facing bankruptcy and possibly the threat of prison. In desperation, George goes to Potter for help, but the callous old man refuses.
You're worth more dead than alive.
The only thing George has left is a life insurance policy. George goes to a bridge on the edge of Bedford Falls where he sees Clarence jump into the water. George rescues him and discovers that Clarence is his guardian angel.
What'd you say?
I said I wish I'd never been born.
Clarence shows George Bailey what life would be without his good deeds. His brother Harry would have died at age 9, meaning he would have never got married or been awarded a medal for performing a heroic act to save his troop during the war. Mary never marries and works in a library, never knowing love or the gift of being a mother. Old Man Gower would have ended up in prison for prescribing the wrong medication, and Bedford Falls becomes a desolate, unwelcoming place called Potterville. George is so relieved to be back in his own world, he runs home in the snow and finds his family waiting for him. Mary has spread the word that her husband is in trouble, and there is a Christmas miracle as the whole community come together and donate the money to cover George's losses and more. Harry returns home.
A toast to my big brother George, the richest man in town.
Clarence gets his wings, and George Bailey learns the value of his life. Without doubt, the greatest Christmas film in the galaxy, It's a Wonderful Life is charming, moving, heartwarming, and expresses perfectly the magic of Christmas. Generations of families have been influenced by this classic movie and will continue to be so, almost 80 years after it was first made.
You see, George, you really had a wonderful life.
Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, give it a like and share it. I'm looking to post a new video every Monday, so be sure to come back for that and click the link on screen to watch another of my videos. Have a happy holiday season, and remember, in the words of Peter Bailey, all you can take with you is that which you've given away. Until next time, hoorah!